We're going to be baking European style in our donut-shaped cake mould. All you need is 500 grams of red velvet cake mix, 3 eggs, 60 millilitres of oil, 100 millilitres of milk. Whisk it until smooth. And there we have our red velvet cake mixture. Now we just pour that straight into our cake mould. Give it a tap and stick it in the oven at 170 degrees for 30 minutes. Now, mix 30 millilitres of egg white in a bowl. We're going to whisk it until it turns white and bubbly. Now we add 200 grams of icing sugar to that and whisk once again. For a little bit of flavour, we'll add 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. This makes our royal icing. And once our cake is ready and out of the oven, we're going to drizzle it on top. Look at that white against the red, isn't it fabulous? Now we're going to add some fruit. We're going to add some raspberries and a little touch of rosemary. Yes, unusual, I know. But guess what? It really works. There you have it. A beautiful red and white delight. Delicious. Now, if you want to make a variation of this, you can just pour it into different shaped moulds. And you can decorate it with different fruit. So once it's baked, we're going to pour our icing on top. Now, how you drizzle the icing on top is going to change the pattern and how the cake looks, isn't it? So we can add more or less and drizzle it in a pattern. Why not add some peaches and some mulberries? So you can experiment with different fruits, even some strawberries. Just give it a little more red colour. It's really nice to experiment with different colours because 50% of how wonderful food is how it looks. Now we're going to spray some oil on another mould, a little bit of a different pattern this time, pour our cake mixture in and bake it at 170 degrees for 30 minutes as before. And once that's ready, yep, you guessed it, we drizzle on our royal icing. Now the pattern of the cake mould is going to make the icing fall differently this time. We're going to add some mulberries and strawberries and raspberries and peaches. Let's go all out this time. Why not add some rosemary too? And sprinkle some icing sugar on top. It looks like the perfect winter cake. Wouldn't mind a slice of that at Christmas. Absolutely fantastic. So, super easy to make, and all you need is a variety of fruits and your royal icing, of course. Red velvet bundt cake, fit for a queen. Nyam Nyam brings to you the queen of all layer cakes, red velvet cake. All you need is 90 grams of unsalted butter in a mixing bowl with half a teaspoon of salt. Add 240 grams of sugar to that and whisk it all up. Now we're going to add 2 eggs, no need to pre-whisk them, and 1 tablespoon of vanilla extract. Give it a good whisk. Now we add 230 grams of cake flour, 15 grams of cocoa powder, 1 tablespoon of baking soda, 160 millilitres of buttermilk, and a few drops of red food colouring. And give it a good whisk. And there you have your red velvet cake mixture. Pour that in your cake tin and smooth it out with a spatula. That goes in the oven at 160 degrees for 35 minutes. Meanwhile, get 450 grams of cream cheese, 120 grams of unsalted butter, and whisk them together in a mixing bowl. Add 250 grams of icing sugar to that. No need to add it in gradually, you can just chuck it all in one go. Nice and easy. Now our cake is ready. We're going to slice it. And we're going to add our cream cheese filling. Spread it out. Stick our layer on top. And repeat. Be as generous as you like with this. Just to get the right balance, we're going to smooth it all the way around the entire cake. Now, through a piping bag, we're going to squirt a little bit of extra cream cheese to make our little raindrop pattern on top. Grate some dried strawberries over that. A beautiful finishing touch. Look at that. Red velvet heaven indeed. Go on. I know you want to. We all love a red velvet cake, but ain't it special when it's dressed up with cream cheese, baby meringues and summer berries? So let's get started. Add 100 grams of egg white to a mixing bowl and whisk until light and frothy. 1/4 teaspoon of cream of tartar goes in there and 200 grams of sugar. Whisk it up till it's nice and thick. Now in a food piping bag we're going to just paint on some stripes of red food colouring and spoon in our meringue mixture. Once that comes out of our serrated nozzle, we've got these beautiful, slightly red tinted baby meringues. Those bake in the oven for 1 hour at 90 degrees. Now in a mixing bowl we add 100 grams of butter with 200 grams of cream cheese and whisk together with 50 grams of sugar. Once that's nice and smooth, pale colour, again we're going to paint stripes with red food colouring on the inside of a food piping bag and spoon it in. This time, using a straight edge nozzle, we're going to get our red velvet cake, which we made earlier or pre-bought from the store, and squeeze on our cream cheese mixture like so. We're going to continue this on each layer of our red velvet cake, and once we get to the top layer we can start to add our fruit, raspberries, mulberries, and of course our baby meringues. A few sprigs of rosemary in there for some colour. And there you have it. Beautiful nude red velvet cake. An absolute crowd pleaser. Very fresh to look at. Super easy to make. Super delicious. Yum! Well, if you like zebras and you like cheesecake, then this is the dessert for you. You need some Oreo cookies and some milk to start with. We're going to use a fork to dunk our Oreo cookies in the milk. Now, one by one, these are going to be placed into our cake tin until we have completely covered the bottom. Now, time to make our cheesecake. We need 400 millilitres of whipping cream. Whisk that up till it thickens. We like to use an electric whisk because it saves a lot of time. In a separate bowl, we add 200 grams of cream cheese. Give that a little whisk too. And one by one, we'll add the ingredients. We're going to start with 50 grams of sugar. Each time, whisking it in. Next, 100 millilitres of sweetened condensed milk. You see, this is a very simple recipe to make. You really just need a few simple ingredients and add them in one by one, plus a dash of patience. When that's nicely blended together, we're going to add 100 millilitres of milk to that. So quite small measurements. And using electric whisk really will save you some time because we need to stir it well in between each ingredient that's been added. We're going to add our whipped cream to that now and whip it all up together. Finally, we add 10 grams of gelatine. That will help it to set later on. We're going to pour that into 2 separate bowls. And in one of the bowls, we're going to add a generous helping of red food colouring and 10 grams of cocoa powder. Stir that so it's all completely blended. It should look something like this when you've finished. Now we're going to, one by one, layer our white mousse and our red velvet mousse. And you'll see it will create a kind of tie-dye effect. If you like to be creative, this is the fun part. Now we can use a cocktail stick or a knife to form a beautiful pattern. Again, why not use your imagination? And there we have it. So all we need to do now is chill it for around 2 hours. For finishing touches, we're going to add a few dollops of whipped cream all around the edge of our cheesecake. Cream does go fantastically well with cheesecake. It just takes the edge off the sweetness. Add some chocolate flakes onto that whipped cream and some cherries. You can use strawberries, raspberries, any fruit you prefer. And there we have it, red velvet zebra cheesecake. Fancy a slice? Go on then.